Namaste everyone. In the previous class, we have just discussed about training and development and some fundamental aspects of training and development. So let's go ahead. Before we go ahead, let's recall the things whatever we have studied in our previous class. So we understood about training, what is training, the meaning of training. We understood the meaning of training. So we already have seen what is training and what is development, why training, need of training, right? So, and also, okay. So as I told you in the previous class, we were discussing, we were hovering around the term training. So let's see what all things we have discussed in our previous class before we continue. Right. We have seen what is training. Training involves three primary things. Number one, about acquisition of knowledge. Number two, about skills. And number three, the concepts, right? That will change the attitude of behaviors, right? So we have seen why we need training. What is the need of training, right? So what are the principles of training, right? How the systematic approach of training can transform people from nowhere to somewhere, and other right topics. Right, we asked first question, that is why training is needed, whether organizations do need training. You said yes, the answer is yes, right? And we already learned about the gap analysis, right? Where I want to be and where am I, right? The gap, the distance, the gap between, it explains no, my capacity and my expected capacity to achieve what I would like to achieve. Right? ನಾನು ಏನು ಅಚೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಇದ್ದೀನೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಹೊಂದುತ್ತೆ, right? What is the gap? That gap is to be filled, right? That gap, usually that gap has used to happen either due to lack of knowledge, or due to lack of skills, right? Or maybe there may be some problem with your interpersonal skills or attitude or behavior, something. All these things will be filled, or some of the things, or some combination of these things used to help fill that gap between expected and actual result. So that will be done how? That will be done with the help of what? With the help of training, right? Then we have another thing, that is training needs, right? Why training is needed, right? So the reason for not making the expected result, or the reason for not achieving the expected results, happens to be because of not having enough resources. That may be academical resources, or financial resources, or kind of skills and all, right? All those things, right? We may add in, we may add all those things, like we may have poor machines, we may have poor staff skills and all, right? So these are the reasons why we couldn't make the thing as and how it has to be, right? So if the person is skilled, right, if the person is skilled, or if the person is knowledgeable, these problems will not arise. And to resolve this problem, training will be given, right? Then we must analyze, as a training experts, we must analyze the situation to determine if expected result is too high, right, or target achievable. Is training the only way to make it happen, right? We have to look from all other dimensions. Then we already made some exercise, right, wherein you are about to imagine like a director of a full service restaurant, right, and you used to get a complaint from a guest that he or she is not satisfied with follow up regarding their criticism of being overcharged, right? ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ರೆಸ್ಟೋರೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟು ಒಬ್ಬರಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಅವಾಗ ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಥರನ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಹೌ ಡು ಯು ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಹೌ ಡು ಯು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ರೈಟ್? So why was the training made, sorry, why was the complaint made, is the first question you have to answer to yourself. Second, is there any training needed to that staff, right? You have to think as a managing director. Then we have seen importance of training, right? Why training is so important, and we also seen some benefits of training in our previous class, right? And we have seen how the training, education, and developments are different, right? Whereas training in short term, to in a nutshell, right, is a task oriented and targeted on achieving a change of attitude, skills, and knowledge in a specific area. It is usually job related. And education is a lifetime achievement. It tends to be initiated by a person in the area of his or her interest. And development happens to be the long term investment in human resources. Let me be clear, training is needed to the lower cadre and mediocre cadre, right? Management and lower management and middle level management. But whereas development is needed to the cadre or to the level greater than the middle level, right? So the top level management and more than middle management cadre used to be given development. And education is a common thing which is there in case of training and development. We have seen in our previous class, right? So we already seen what is ask a concept, right? There are three prime things. One is attitude, second skills, and third knowledge. Attitude, skills, knowledge, only these three can fill up the gap. As you know, gap happens because the actual performance is do not meet the expected performance, right? So you expect things to be very excellent, you couldn't make it happen. Why you couldn't make it happen? Because there is a gap, either in your system, or as far as your knowledge is concerned, or as far as your skills are concerned, or as far as resources are concerned, right? So ask concept helps us to identify where we lack, right? Whether our attitude, we are lacking in attitude, or we do lack skills, or we do lack knowledge, right? If you answer this, we will find some solutions, right? We do find some solutions. Then learning, we have seen learning as a concept in our previous class, right? We have seen that learning is a process of acquiring new understanding, knowledge, behaviors, skills, values, attitudes, and preferences, right? Learning means acquiring new understanding, new comprehension, new concepts, behavior, skills, values, attitudes, and preferences, right? So anything that is new, anything that is useful, having utility, having knowledge, having skill, kind of, right? Anything that adds to a value system, that is what learning is. We have seen in our class, right? And we also understood the objectives of teaching and objectives of learning, especially objectives of learning given by Bloom's taxonomy was learned in our class. Yes, we have seen what is learning curve. Learning curve theory is a way to understand the improved performance of an employee or investment over time. In a nutshell, let's be very simple, right? So learning curve basically, yes, as and how the person works as a lower level employee or middle level employee or top level employee, right? In case of lower management, middle level management, or top level management, or the managing director, or as a CEO, or as a sweeper, right? If a person works for some years, he do learn. This is a thing, right? As and how you perform the same work for many years, or as and how you perform some similar kind of works for many years, you do learn. This is a thing, right? So learning curve basically explains that, right? So the idea is that the more an employee does something, the better they will get at it, which translates to a lower cost and higher output in the long run, right? So as and how you do the same work for so many years, you could do the thing at the best, right? So if you have interest in it, if you are doing it with all, with all love and dedication, your cost associated with that work will comes down. Your time associated with that will just definitely comes down. Then output also increases. Right? That is what the learning curve we have learned in the previous class. Yes, we were discussing about theories on learning. So there are basically three kinds: behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. Right? Three kinds of things. Are you not audible now also? Some people are saying, sir, we are not audible. Hope you are audible now. Okay. There are three kinds of, yes, learning, right? Behaviorism, based on cognitivism, based on humanism, based on, see, this humanism is not taken by every author, but some of them do take. Then lastly, we have constructivism. So based on behaviorism, we have direct instruction, programmed instruction, social learning theory. As far as cognitivism is speaking, we have attribution theory, elaboration theory, cognitive development, conditions of learning. As far as humanism is speaking, we have experiential learning. As far as constructivism is speaking, we have social development theory, case-based learning, cognitive apprenticing, discovery learning, right? Problem based learning, situated learning, activity theory, actor network theory, right? So let's come back to the first one, behaviorism. So whenever we are learning, right? So one way is by direct instruction, right? By one way is by direct instruction, right? Where things are directed, things are given as instruction, right? Will be taught, person will be learned by getting instruction on continuous basis or by giving instruction. Then we have program instruction, and we also do have the social learning theory, right? uh, and as far as cognitivism is speaking, we have attribution theory, right? Attribution theory, let me tell you a few things. As far as behaviorism is speaking, there are no confusions at all, I know, right? Because in case of direct instruction, you'll be given instructions, based on instruction, or you'll be given some information, based on that you do learn. Second, programmed instruction means, which is like wherein everything is structured, right? Everything is planned, right? Step one, step two, step three, like. Then you have social learning theory, where will be learned in society by no, by virtue of your presence in an organization, by virtue of your presence in a place, right? You do learn the things. In case of attribution theory, man tries to attribute things to some phenomenon, some event, right? So you try to attribute things to some event. Based on that, you do learn. That is attribution theory, right? So in case of elaboration theory, things are elaborated, things are explained in detail, and thereby man, no, a human being learn. And as far as cognitive development is speaking, as you know, cognition, right? Cognitive development. So as and how the things are analyzed, things are analyzed in a cognitive way, and the things are learned, right? Based on conditions of learning also, they say cognitivism becomes one of the learning way, right? Experiential learning is self-explanatory, which tells that by virtue of, or by just by experiencing we do learn, right? As and how I do work, I continue on continual basis, I do learn, right? In constructivism also there are so many kinds of learning. One is social development theory, wherein no, social development theory you do learn in, and being in society, in many things are developed, right? Theories are developed based on their experiences being in society, and people do learn there, right? So case based learning, I think students, pupils are given many case studies, right? So based on that, things are learned, right? For instance, a case study about how the things are, how the things used to happen, or case study about the Ramalingam Raju case, right? Case study about the corporate governance issues. Case study about how Apple do make good profits, how Tesla do make good profits, how do recently Adani company do is making a lot of profits, right? Means by giving case studies, real time case studies, learning, right? That is case based learning, right? Cognitive apprenticeship, wherein a person will be given an apprenticeship, right? Where he'll be learning as an apprentice, right? He'll be given some place, or he'll be sent to the place, and there he'll be learning the things, and by way of discovery also, person do learn new things, right? Of course, this learning is relative learning, right? One person learns different thing, and other person do learn the different thing. Get your point, right? For instance, when there is a story I would like to share with you all. There were two marketing agents, right? There were two marketing managers who were sent to two places. Whether see, I don't know whether you heard of the story or not, right? There were two managers of Bata company, right? They were sent to two places, right? It was in the inceptual stage, right? The company was in inceptual stage. The company was about to start its uh, expand its business. ಕಂಪನಿಯನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ they have sent two people, one to the Lakshadweep, other to the Andaman Nicobar. Yes, why? Just to check whether we can open an outlet there or not. Right? Before they do go there, they have been trained. Right? They used to give training. Right? Training ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ. So training about how to find a place, what are the parameters to be found out, what are the parameters to be looked into, and all those things used to be given in case of training. After training, they went there, one to the Lakshadweep and the other to the uh, Andaman Nicobar. Yes, they have seen. Those are the days, earlier days. Those are days where still tribal people used to stay there, right? Still modernization, still modern equipments, modern signs of modern things, modern days haven't been there. ಅಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮುಂದುವರೆದಂಥ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ one from Lakshadweep gave a mail, right? He sent a mail, right? He sent a mail and said, "Sir, here tribes, right? Everyone is tribes. No one uses shoes, right? And they not at all have any practice of using shoes. There is no meaning in opening a store here." ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ನ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ರೀಸನ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಟ್ರೈಬ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ On the other hand, I'll come. I know I'll be coming by the next flight, sir. ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, right? And on the other case, the other person, right? Who's that? Who's been signed to? Yes, as you guessed, Andaman Nicobar. Andaman Nicobar ಹೋದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, he sends a letter or he sends a mail and he says, yes sir, sir, being tribal, no one wears shoes, which is very important to them, right? They utterly need shoes, chappals, which could save, them, right? That is more important. So there's a lot of demand here. Let's do it, sir. Let's open, right? Please send me first consignment. I start selling, right? Without opening the outlet itself, I do start selling the shoes. So this is how the same thing learned by two persons. But how do they apply? How do they see? How do they apply? That matters a lot, right? So learning is different from how you digest the things, right? How you take the things, right? ಕಲಿಯೋದು ಒಂದು ಆದರೆ ಕಲ್ತದ್ದನ್ನು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡೋದು ತುಂಬ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, right? Then we have problem based learning wherein the problem will be first to teach something. Problem will be offered to them, right? A problem will be offered to them, and based on that people used to teach. And we have situation based learning or situated learning, right? The same, like problem based, we will be given some situation. Activity theory, actor network theory, like this we have many things. Now let's see some things which are related to principles of learning. You might have wondered, or you might have seen, why only few people are really excellent. Why only few people are rich in this world? Why only few people learn things in a better way, grasp things in a better way? Why not everyone, right? So why not people? No, people learn in the same way, right? So to that there are some principles. So let's see those principles. Uh, The first one, see, we have seven principles, right? Of course, there may be thousands of principles, but these are recognized as very important one, right? Learners at center. See, these seven principles of learning, right, are there, and these may change from time to time. These may change from time to time, but the thing is that, the core thing associated with these seven principles remain the same. There are seven principles of learning. One is learner at center, the social nature of learning. Emotions are integral to the learning, recognizing individual differences, stretching all students, assignment for learning, building horizontal connections. Right? These are the seven principles. Before we understand them, before we digest them, let's see some styles. Ask yourself, as a student, right, as a human being, right? So you may be in any one of these three baskets, right? Either you be a visual kind, or you be auditory kind, or you be a kinesthetic. You may wonder, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಸ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ರಿ ನನ್ಗೆ ಕಾಣತ್ತೆ, ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ನಾನು ಕೈನಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್ಕು ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಹಂಗಿರಲ್ಲ, right? Every person either will be a kinesthetic or visual or auditory. What does it mean? Yes, let's see, right? So when I say visual learner, use of strong visual associations, right? People could remember, see, few people do remember images than words. Few people do remember videos than words, right? What, see, they forget what they hear. ನೀವು ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅದು ಮರ್ತು ಹೋಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ರೈಟ್, ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ನಾನು ಏನು ತೋರಿಸಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ವಿಡಿಯೋಸ್ ಏನು ತೋರಿಸಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವೇನು ನೋಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ, ಅದು ಮರೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ರೈಟ್? ಯು ಡೂ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್, you do remember charts, you do remember posters, means you are a visual learner. So what I mean, if you could remember the things like images, videos, maps, charts, posters, etc., then you are a visual learner, right? And if you could concentrate, or if you could learn better via words, music. See, some people do love these statements, right? Statements of great people, right? Some people do love music, right? So some people do love quotations. They do remember those things. Some people do love the inspirational things given by people. Right? Means they are auditory learners. Right? They grasp by their auditory level. Right? So they hear a lot, or they listen to the people, right? So visual people, they look at the people, they look at the images, they look at the videos, they look at the maps, charts, posters. Where our auditory learners, they listen to the music, means they listen to the things, right? Their ears are sharper than their eyes, right? Then kinesthetic, they learn by doing, they learn by participating, they learn by performing the activity by own to understand it, right? They are more kinesthetic, right? Hands on. So let's see few more things. Auditory learners make up 30% of the population. See, um, always researches are based on some samples, right? That confines to some only some countries or some universities or some places or selected people, right? You may not take it, no, as it is, right? But this is how things are. Another one research in another, auditory learners make up 30% of the population. Most of the people, right? Most of the people means out of the 100 people, 30%, 30 people are auditory, they say, and 65% are visual, and only 5% are kinesthetic, right? So let's see auditory one. If you are an auditory learner, information comes in best through your eyes, from speeches, presentations, or audiobooks. You have a knock for foreign languages and benefit from study groups. And if you are a visual one, you tend to be neat and tidy, excellent spellers, and quick to read charts. Visual learners also tend to be the fastest talkers. Right, the person who is visual one or visual learner, he used to be a fastest talker. They say, right? They used to have more information via pictures, images, right, videos, and all. And third category people are kinesthetic. So they say, what is that? They are primarily male and love anything hands-on, as I told you, right? Usually kinesthetic learners male ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, right? And they love hands-on. They would like to do the things on their own. These learners are often skilled athletes or musicians and are drawn construction projects, science experiments, and field trips, right? Then we have some principles of learning, right? So let's see some principles of learning, wherein